Before the first question, I want to just acknowledge former star Rick Bowness retiring today. Lifetime in hockey, and obviously well respected by all coaching peers, but also the players he's had an effect on over their careers, especially the young defensemen in the league. You know, it's a who's list of the last 20 years. So great career, and feel fortunate to have coached against him, and you know, just want him to enjoy his retirement and congratulate him on a great run.
What can you say about the group that you inherited from him?
Yeah, well, his fingerprints are on it for sure. You know, his defensive detail. You know, he kind of ingrained that in this group's DNA, and we've definitely been the beneficiary of that.
I didn't start it off, but I look at your team and I see a team that can win in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
You know, Colorado was first in offense regular season, you were third.
Yeah.
You just won a tight series against Vegas. So my question is, how do you want to play this series? Like, do you want to be up tempo?
Yeah.
Do you want to try to lock it down? Like, how do you want to win?
Well, it's a great question. I think the short answer to that is we just want to win. You know, whatever that takes. I think you have to work yourself. I think we're going to have to work ourselves into the series to see how we're going to have to win. You know, my initial reaction is watching what they did to Winnipeg. You know, I don't think we want to get into a track meet with Nathan McKinnon and Rantanen and Nikushkin and Makar and Taves and Gerard and, you know, that group. So, you know, at the same time, you know, I think you know, we're not gonna sit and try and defend the entire series. I think we've got other layers to our game. You know, we want to put some pressure on their group defensively too.
They were successful in kind of a multi-screen setup,
Mhm.
so they had the most tip shots, I think 18 in the first round, the most tip goals at 5.
Yeah.
Is that something you gotta shut down, look at differently?
Yeah, I mean, you've got, again, you know, similar to us, they can beat you a bunch of different ways. I mean, they're you know, they scored a bunch of tip goals, but then you're always dealing with their rush too, with the names that I just mentioned. So, you know, I don't think it's as simple as shutting down one part of their game like that. I think you have to be aware of you know, this is a more than a one-headed snake we're dealing with.
Interesting you mentioned the not just sitting back and letting them rush at you. I think it was the last regular season meeting, it felt like you guys really pushed the game to them and made them defend more, and that was very successful.
Yeah, I mean, that's a part of it for sure. I think the regular season games, I think, you know, have really limited meaning, you know, but that's definitely an aspect of what we want to do, and it always has been. I mean, your best defense is when the puck's 200 feet from your net, so that's going to be a part of it. Yeah.
Earlier in the playoffs, you talked a little bit about last year and how Minnesota, Seattle kind of took chunks out of you before you got to Vegas. Do you feel like Vegas took a big bite out of you, and how do you turn it around so quickly?
Yeah. Well, I you know, I don't think there's any doubt. I don't think you don't go through a 7-game series against a team like that without it taking some toll on you. You know, I think that toll, though, when you pay the bill for that toll, you know, I think you never know when that's going to, you know, is that a round from now? Is it 2 rounds from now? Is it, you know, in the summertime? Well, you know, let's hope we can push that off, and let's hope we can help ourselves with that as we move forward here. But, you know, the road sure doesn't get any easier, you know, when you look at the potential opponents here. Yeah.
And you had mentioned last night how you like that you get to kind of just go into this next
Yeah.
series here. For Colorado, with the start that they had in the playoffs, is there a hope that they can kind of cool off in that week they have off?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there's always a hope that that you get a little bit stale practicing. I think we've been in that spot before. You know, and I'm hoping we can carry over our Game 7 mentality and roll it right into Game 1. You know, you never know as a coach, you know, how quick out of the gate they're going to be with that time off, and how, if we're going to be able to roll that mentality into Game 1. But that's the hope.
See, the flip side of that, what foundation did you build in that first round? Just
Yeah.
playing that way,
Yeah.
playing such a tight series.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know what, I would say we built that foundation, you know, all year, but particularly the second half of the season. When you look, we played some really solid, consistent hockey. I think that allowed us to carry that into the playoffs, that allowed us to have success against a team like Vegas, as deep as Vegas was, as good as Vegas was. You know, I think that wasn't something we just turned on. I think that was something that, you know, had become part of our DNA the second half of the year, because we really played solid. I mean, other than maybe a second period in one of the early games in the series and Game 6, where I thought we weren't as sharp as we could have been. You know, I thought we were dialed in for almost every period of that series. Yeah.
Chris Tanev was +6 in that
Yeah.
round, and I think we really saw that he was capable of.
Yeah.
What has he done for your group?
Huge addition. I mean, you know, when you look at our group, you know we could score. You could see we had forward depth that was addressed in the summer. You know, we needed a defenseman, and you know, I think he was at the top of our list. You know, Jim dialed in on him, one, because of his fit in the dressing room and as a person, but two, also what you're seeing on the ice. I mean, he's dramatically impacted our group, and you know, both defensively and offensively. I mean, everyone talks about him defensively, but you know, he's got poise with the puck. He makes a great first pass, makes a great outlet pass, uses his feet on breakouts. You know, he really starts a lot of stuff for us too, on the offensive part.
This is as good a time to ask as any. Is Nils Lundqvist your best option as a sixth defenseman right now? I mean, I understand why you
Yeah.
have him out there, because he probably is your best option.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you know, I think those are conversations we have every day, and there's a group of guys there, and you know, we've got Pouliot up here now. There's some guys in the American League. You know, those are constant discussions, and you know, sometimes it's what you're looking for in that role. You know, and then that role, if that role is 6 to 8 minutes a night against big, heavy, hard fourth lines, you know, I mean, those are conversations you have on a
Somebody
daily
gets hurt,
basis.
Then he's
Yeah.
the guy you probably are going to use.
Yeah.
So then the follow-up becomes, how does he rebound from that game and the mistake he made?
Yeah. I mean, that's part about being a pro. You know, the group picks them up. You got to dust yourself off and get back out there. There's mistakes made on every shift of every game. So it's not an easy spot to be in. And, you know, you got to have mental toughness, and you got to be able to have a short memory and be prepared for the next opportunity. And then make the most of that opportunity and try and build some confidence and trust from there. So not an easy spot to be in, but you know what? This isn't training camp. You're playing the Stanley Cup champion, and now you're playing, you know, the Colorado Avalanche, which you know was the year before Stanley Cup champion. So, you know, it's a gauntlet of great teams, and there's nowhere to hide.
Well, and he's got teammates, I think, who've done the same thing. Delaney,
Yeah.
You know, or
Yeah.
other guys like that who, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
That he can see right there's other people who've done this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pete, one of the startling numbers is you just got to a 7-game series with Joe Pavelski not having a single point.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at his history and what he did last year in the playoffs. What do you see?
Yeah.
Joe, it hadn't come to him?
Yeah. No, you know what? I'm not worried about it. I heard Bruce Cassidy speak about Jonathan Marchessault last year, and I think he went, you know, the first 8 games of the playoffs without a goal, and then won the Conn Smythe. You know, and I'm not saying Joe's going to do that, but I have zero concern that Joe's fingerprints are gonna be on our playoffs before this is said and done, regardless of what the stat lines say. And they already are, you know, in all the other things he does, both in the dressing room and all the little intangibles on the ice.
Jake, obviously, we talked about, he's been so good late in the season and
Yeah.
in the series. The challenge, I mean, obviously, you've seen him grow, you've seen him in the playoffs, just him being prepared for this challenge with such a high-scoring team.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, I think the third period overtime numbers, you know, show what we already knew here. You know, he's a rise to the occasion guy. You know, he recognizes the big moments, the important times of a series, of a game, and he finds another level for us, regardless of what's happened before or what the series is at. And you know, I thought he did that exactly what we thought he would do in that first round.
I confess I haven't poured into it yet, but they have a lethal power play. You don't take a lot of penalties.
Yeah.
Is that how it's played out in the regular season in your matchups? Like, is that
Yeah,
that you have?
well, I'm trying to remember, you know, all the regular season games. I think, you know, that's definitely going to be a part of it. You know, I think we just came off a series where neither team takes a lot of penalties. Vegas and us, we both defend without taking penalties. There's no doubt with Colorado that, you know, we don't want to give them opportunities on the power play with the personnel they've got there. So, you know, the good thing for us is we don't have, you know, we've been a disciplined team the entire year. I think the lowest penalized team in the league all year. So it's not like we have to change our DNA or how we play in order to do that. You know, we should be able to carry that over. We just did it against a real physical Vegas team for 7 games and stayed out of the box. So, you know, I don't anticipate that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I asked Misha yesterday, I'd love to get your thoughts on how do you maintain team sharpness when we don't have practice time, and it's not gonna be in this series?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just, that's on the group, you know, and again, I think it's, we've had the group together all year. You know, there's good chemistry there. They understand our systems, our foundations in place. We're not changing a lot of things series to series. There's some minor details, so we know how we want to play. We know what our good game looks like, you know, and that's kind of ingrained in the guys. So it's just a matter of coming to the rink with energy and executing.
Do you have
Thanks.
any updates
Last
on
one.
Hakanpää or Marchment as far as any hopes for the series?
Yeah, I have hopes for both those guys for the series. They're going to skate tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
Great, thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Speaking.